Okay, folks, I appreciate everybody coming to class. Tonight, we are going to talk about traditional Chinese medicine. That's a huge subject. So I'm not going to get into great detail. That would, man, I could probably teach a weekend class, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and not really even touch the surface, but we're going to go over it. The information that we're going to talk about tonight, this is Stephen Horn's Sunshine Sharing material. If anyone's out and about and they would like this information, y'all can come by the shop, Go Natural Herbs and Fitness. I'm saying that for people that are on YouTube, and pick up one of these. They're free when you come to class. Now, okay, who in here takes Chinese herbs already? Raise your hand. Okay, half the class. Very good. Now, I do too. I don't just take Chinese herbs. I have some Ayurvedic herbs. I have some Native American herbs. I have a lot of different things. I take some flower essences. I take essential oils. They all have a place. But traditional Chinese medicine has a different, you might call it, philosophy and way that they work. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight, so you have an understanding of how, when you talk about traditional Chinese medicine, how you're looking at the body differently than we might with alfalfa and hydrangea or burdock or something that like grows around here, right? Now, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but in that first group, the last two paragraphs, it says, for example, the difference between TCM. Now, when it says TCM here, that's traditional Chinese medicine, okay? That's what that stands for. And modern medical thinking can be found in Chinese concept of superior and inferior medicines. Now, understand, I read through this and I thought, you know, those words, I know what superior sounds like and inferior sounds like to me. Don't look at it as good and bad, okay? When we get further, you're kind of going to understand how that falls into it, okay? So in TCM, inferior medicines are those that provide rapid relief of a symptom, okay? It just rapidly makes things change. So a fast-acting pain reliever or blood pressure reducing medicine would be an inferior medicine in Chinese thinking, okay? Whereas in Western medicine, this is exactly the kind of rapid symptomatic action that is sought in new drugs. Right? Y'all agree?
Yeah.
Y'all understand what we're saying here?
Yeah.
Okay. So in contrast, slow-acting remedies that gradually restore health and vitality are rarely used in modern scientific medicine. In TCM, however, these slow-acting health-building tonics would be considered superior medicines. So if you're tired of the side effect of laden inferior symptom relieving drugs of Western medicine, perhaps it's time to try some of the safe, healing, tonifying herbal formulas that would be considered superior medicines in traditional Chinese system. These formulas are ideal for helping to restore health when chronically ill. Now, do y'all understand what I meant by that superior and inferior when you're looking at it in this way?
Yes.
Let's just use the example of a headache. You could take a pain relieving pharmaceutical for a headache. Probably everybody in this room has done that at one time or another. Y'all agree?
Yeah.
Or you could go, why do I have a headache? What's the cause? What do I need to address? Now, that's a different way of looking at it. So it might not go away just like that, but if you got to the root of the cause, then it wouldn't be a chronic problem that you have a headache every Thursday or you have a headache every day or what. I work with clients every day that have headaches daily, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, we need to figure out where's that coming from instead of just, you know, causing the liver to get overloaded with a pharmaceutical taken daily, because the liver will one day go, I'm not taking it anymore. It's full. You don't want to be in that boat. Once it's full, it can't handle X chemicals anymore. Now you're chemically poisoned. I mean, we know people who have died, right? I was working with this lady one time and she was very depressed. And so I said, what I was, prodding to see what might be the actual cause of the depression. And she said, well, my son has passed away. And I said, oh my goodness, what happened? And she said, well, he's only 40 years old, but he died from taking Tylenol. Now, Tylenol doesn't kill people in itself. It's safe to take. But if your liver is full and it can't take any more, that could take you over the top. Any pharmaceutical could take you over the top if your liver was full. So, and there's not an indicator, there's not a red light that comes on and says, we're full, we can't take any more. So let's detoxify, cleanse the system, allow things to not be so close to full, and let's consider what we could do naturally instead of just always taking something that have y'all ever gotten a medicine and it has a little piece of paper in there and read it? I find out most people never read those things.
Package inserts.
It tells the deal, how often you should take this and da-da-da-da. Because somebody will have a sleeping pill. And I'll say, how long have you been taking the sleeping pill? And they say, well, I've been taking it every night for 6 years. And I'm like, have you ever read the inside of that thing? Because it's for occasional use, not nightly for years and years and years. It's not meant to be taken that way. The pharmaceutical company will tell you that. So following directions is something we're not that good at sometimes. Now, some of y'all might be a stickler on it, but I know people who've been doing things a lot longer than they need to. So cleansing of the part of the body that it could have affected, like the liver, and then using some other solutions might be helpful. Okay, let's flip over on the inside here to this first little paragraph, because this kind of gets the gist of all the others. The concepts of TCM, or traditional Chinese medicine, can seem mysterious and difficult to understand. However, they don't need to be. What follows is a list of major Western health issues that can be addressed using traditional Chinese herbal formulas. We're not talking so much about specific disease, okay? That's not, the Chinese do not look at disease specifically. As we are, in general, imbalances, that's what we're looking at. The body is imbalanced, and problems that lead to many different specific disease conditions. By correcting these general imbalance, overall health improves and many related problems clear up on their own. So we're going to go over these different problems that people might have. So the first one that comes up is easing the stress of modern life. Will anybody raise their hand and say, I don't ever have any stress? No. Most all of us have issues with our nervous system, but it shows its ugly head in different ways. Do y'all not agree? Some people might get a headache, as we were referring to earlier. Some people, maybe they can't sleep. Some people, their hands shake. Some people, their heart palpitates. Y'all agree? We all respond to stress differently. Some people have anxiety. Some people, shake all over. They get really, really stressed out. Some people are very stressed out, but you don't see it outwardly. It all gets stuffed deep inside of their body. That does more harm than good, for sure thing. So modern life is filled with stress, one of the major underlying causes of all health problems. Stress shuts down digestion, interferes with normal elimination, causes nervousness and insomnia, and it can lead to heart problems like angina and palpitations. Being able to stay calm in a stress-filled world is vital to stay healthy. So traditional Chinese medicine, the heart is the home of the, and I'm probably not going to pronounce this right, but Shen. I'm going to say it that way in the South, okay? Emotions or spirit. Overexcitement and stress adversely affects the Shen, causing nervousness, paranoia, indigestion, insomnia, neurosis, and other health problems. The solution to these problems is to calm the shin or pacify the spirit. Chinese stress relief, now that's the name of a product, is the traditional Chinese formula designed to do this. It is a sedative, antispasmodic, so it calms the nervous tension and relaxes the body. Chinese stress relief can be used anytime one feels tense, anxious, nervous, or stressed. Okay? Sounds like something we need to have in the medicine cabinet.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you have to take it all the time. You may just use it when you feel like you need it, right?
Mhm.
Now, I want to show y'all something before I go further. We have several different formulas in our Chinese line. We have a bottle, this one's called HYC, and we have a bottle that's 100 capsules, and this HYC has 30 capsules, okay? So they are both the same, but this one, and if you look at it on the price sheet, it'll say HYC and then it'll say TCM. This is the concentrate. One of these is equal to taking 3 or 4 of these. So this one costs more than this does, but what's the basic understanding? You would swallow less pills than if you took this. So who cares if they swallow less pills?
Yeah.
I do. So it's concentrated.
Which one's the concentrate?
The TCM. On the price sheet, it will say HYC, because that's the name of the product, and then it'll say TCM. Now, the next category is lifting depression and sadness. Woo, we got a lot of folks having issues like that. Millions of Americans take antidepressant drugs. These drugs do little to restore the user's physical and mental health and may have serious side effects. While depression has multiple causes, its most fundamental level, depression is loss of energy. A person simply does not have the energy to cope with normal stressors and pressures of life. Thus, their energy and their mood sag. Now, that word sag is a key, because in Chinese medicine, they look at sagging things. What else could sag? Ladies, could something sag? Internal, external, things will try to fall down as we age and get older. That's a sag, okay? So as we talk about this lifting, depression, mood, that kind of thing, it also has the ability for anything else sagging to help lift. So I need you to hear that, okay? We're talking emotionally, but we're talking physical too. Mood Elevator is designed to relieve this sagging chi or reduced energy. It increases energy and helps overcome sad, heavy feelings. Many people have successfully weaned themselves off of antidepressant drugs like SSRIs using this traditional Chinese formula. Because it works on the liver, colon, lymphatics, and other systems, and not on serotonin levels in the brain, it can be taken in conjunction with other medications. You know, there are certain pharmaceuticals that would be contraindicated with certain herbs, but this one doesn't work on the serotonin level. It works in a different way. So what they're saying is it can be combined. Now, we know we don't take pharmaceuticals at the same exact time we take herbs or supplements. You take them at least an hour apart. Okay, don't swallow them in the same handful, because pharmaceuticals strong enough to cancel out the supplement's ability to work properly. But they can be taken in the same day, okay? A person who feels better, they can work with their doctor to reduce or eliminate their drugs. Chinese Mood Elevator eases feelings of stress and anxiety, improves sleep, and eases congestion and toxicity. It also helps with prolapse of internal organs like uterus and colon. It releases lymphatic stagnation and may help chronic respiratory congestion, PMS, and painful menstruation and all that. So as a female, I know I have 5 children, but I gave birth to 4 of them. I adopted a teenager. And so the more babies you have, the lower things can go. And I have worked with a lot of ladies over the years that they have things trying to fall out. Bladders are most common, very common. Uterus can try to fall out, even the intestines. And I have worked with several. Everything just gets pushed down sometime. And the more prolapse you have of one thing, it can push down on the others. Okay? And that's why, see, what tried to fall out of my body was my intestines, but not at the bottom, at the top. I had a transverse, which transverse goes across your belly button right here. That's the part of the intestines, large intestine. And mine did a UE. It fell down. And so it put pressure on everything underneath that, which that was my femoral organs and my bladder. You feel it. Now, this happened to me when I was 22, which is not when things are supposed to fall down. Not that they're ever supposed to fall down, but anyway, that was not a normal time. And so I did a slant board. So I put my head above my legs on a board. I used an ironing board on my step. It works. Not fancy, but it works. And then I pulled everything back up into place. And you do this right before you go to bed at night. You brush your teeth and have done all things. So you can go straight to bed and go to sleep. And do it every single night before you go to bed. And it really does help to get everything lifted back up into place, along with taking what you need to take. I was taking supplements and I was cleaning out my colon. I was doing all these things. But it really did help to go to the bottom right here. You're going to push in, pull up, push in, pull up. So from the groin area up to the belly button, whether you're working on bladder, colon, uterus, you're just going to push in and pull up when you're in that inclined position. And you only have to have your feet like 18 inches above your head. It's not that much. So depending on how wide your rear end is, the ironing board may or may not work. But if you're too wide, just get your husband to get a board or something. You can, and they sell slant boards, but you don't have to get that fancy. Okay. We're talking about traditional Chinese medicine. Relieving post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, or just burnout. When under stress for a long period of time, it can develop in a burnout feeling. We feel like we are unable to cope with life. We just can't handle even one more thing. If stress is bad enough, we develop the PTSD. When this happens, traditional Chinese medicine sees our heart or our spirit, that Shin we were talking about, as being in need of nurturing and support. So nervous fatigue formula, that's the name of the product, was formulated to nurture the yin of the heart, which means it increases our emotional energy and ability to take heart and to cope with stresses of life. The person who needs this formula is tired and worn out and suffers from disturbed sleep. They feel emotionally vulnerable and may cry easily or feel overly sensitive. They may lack a normal sex drive, feel inverted, and find thinking and concentration difficult. Short-term memory, concentration, those things can very much be suffering. And many people sense an extreme anxiety in the area of their heart and even experience heart palpitations. Now, I tell you what, I've had a truckload of people say all that to me. It is very common. Men and women, young and old. I have known people to even literally have a heart attack. And I don't think it was as much geared towards the circulation as it was their literal emotional heart. They had a heartache or a emotional problem with their heart. They got hurt really bad emotionally. So connect the physical and the emotional. Are y'all figuring that out with this Chinese medicine? That's what they're connecting. The physical and the emotional go hand in hand. Now, I don't know if y'all have had very much emotional stuff go on. I've had a truckload of it, and there is a correlation. Years ago, a friend of mine wrote a book. His name was Ed Bashaw, and it was called Life Abundantly. And in that book, it had some metaphysical causes of some conditions that were diseases we call, or whatever it be. And when I got involved in herbs and natural health 33 years ago, was constipated to the hilt. I went poopy once a week at best. And when I did go poop, man, it was not a pretty sight. I would physically be ill. Now, in that book, it said grief was the emotion connected to the colon. Well, I'm not really good in English, so the definition of the word didn't come to my mind except dying. Grief and dying. That's the only thing I connected. But grief is so much more than that. It's loss. Now, if somebody had said that to me back then, I would have connected the loss that I had, not just with death, because nobody in my life had died. But I did have loss. So when I figured it out and started addressing that emotionally, I started going poopy better. It's amazing. So I talk to people about that now in a way they can receive it. Because some people, if you go down this path with them, they either can't figure it out like me. I couldn't figure it out. Grief, I hadn't grieved about nothing. But then other people, if you say words that connect, they get offended. I don't have any pity. I don't have pity parties. That's not why I have so-and-so. But it can be. So in all my menagerie of books back there that y'all take and borrow and all that, there is a Life Abundantly book in there somewhere. We'll talk about that one night. It's very interesting. It's another way of looking at things. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right, where did I leave off here? Okay, millions of Americans are suffering from this burnout feeling due to chronic stress and overuse of caffeine, sugar, and other stimulants. Nervous fatigue formula can improve their energy, help them to sleep better, and feel like they can cope again. It has an adaptogenic effect in the body, meaning it reduces levels of stress hormones. It supports adrenal glands and helps a person to ignite their zest for life. There's a whole bunch of people that need that right there.
That sounds like a superior rather than inferior.
Mm-hmm. Don't you know? I hear you. But you know, let me say this too. These are not herbs that we take for very long. Okay? So this is not something you're going to take for a year. That's the one thing about traditional Chinese medicine is they're balancing. So if you're out of balance and you get balanced with this, it don't mean you need it anymore.
Something puts you out of balance in the first place.
Mm-hmm. So we identify the issue, try to bring balance there, and we look at life differently. You know, I know people that have stress, and I can't take the stress out of their life, but if I can give them the nutrition that the body needs, that stress is there, still there, but it rolls off their back easier. It doesn't get underneath their skin like it used to. And I've seen that happen. It's happened with me. Y'all know I've been married before, and I've gone to divorce court before, and it'd be real stressful, and we'd pass a bottle around and take it, and then it's all good. Not really. The problem's still there, but it's all good. You handle it better.
Is there something else in there?
No.
What kind of
Okay. Cooling fever and inflammation. Modern medical research has found that chronic inflammation is at the root of many degenerative diseases. Now, we've talked about that before. In traditional Chinese medicine, other traditional systems of medicine, inflammation is simply referred to as heat. Now, have you ever had inflammation and you could see the redness? You could touch the area and it'd be hotter than the other part of the body, but right there was hot and you could see the heat. You want to move the heat. Okay, this makes sense since classic symptoms of inflammation, heat, redness, swelling, and pain. When the heat or inflammation is acute and caused by an internal influence, such as an infection, it is called heat evil in traditional Chinese medicine. IFC, that's the name of the product, is traditional Chinese medicine formula designed to clear the heat or reduce heat evil, excuse me. In Western terms, it helps to fight infection and reduce inflammation. IFC is useful for all inflammatory diseases or anything that ends in itis. Y'all know that anything that ends in itis means inflammation of that part of your body, right?
Mhm.
Such as tonsillitis, mastitis, arthritis, all of those conditions that you're very familiar with. It can be your eyes, ears, throat, and it can even be fever and chills, because that's heat that you're trying to move on out of the body. And it just names, sore gum, skin infections, anemia, all the different things. When the inflammation comes and goes, so it's not chronic all the time, maybe it's a low-grade fever, then the formula that is recommended is called V as in victory, S-C is helpful. Although it was specifically formulated to treat chronic herpes infections, it's also helpful for shingles, chronic fatigue, and other chronic viral infections. We know Western medicine doesn't have a good solution for viruses, right?
Mhm.
These antibiotics work on bacterial, but not very well on viral things. So this formula has been one of my favorite. It is heat reducing and anti-inflammatory, but it also strengthens the immune system, making it helpful for low-grade bacterial infections too. Now, do you mind sharing a story?
Not at all. I have a daughter that's 18, and like many 18-year-olds, they share things, they maybe kiss a boy or two, and she has developed the fever blisters on her lips. And it's gone up to her nose. She's had severe cases. So we've had several different things, including things that the pediatrician has given us. However, nothing seemed to work. So we, of course, purchased the VSC, and as soon as she feels one coming on, she topically applies it, and it never gets out of hand, and gone within 3 days.
Awesome. And you shared it with somebody at work, and they saw
I
the
did,
same results.
Same results. Thrilled
Cool.
with it.
Now, she's talking about topically applying this. We're talking about orally taking it as well. Doing both? Great. Yes, thank you. Here. All right. That's what it looks like. This is a liquid, and we also have it in a capsule, and it comes in the regular TCM concentrate as well as the regular, okay? So if it's easier for some people to take the liquid, we have it that way as well as the capsule. Either way does the deal. Okay, now, help for metabolic syndrome X. Now, y'all might not have ever heard of that. Have y'all heard of that?
No.
At the core of many modern health problems is an imbalance in metabolism known as syndrome X, or metabolic syndrome. Caused by a diet high in simple carbohydrates and low in good fats and protein, metabolic syndrome is the underlying cause of obesity and the precursor to heart disease and diabetes. The major therapy for this syndrome is to change the diet. High carbohydrate consumption triggers high insulin levels, which trigger weight gain, especially around the abdomen. They also increase insulin resistance and inflammation. By eating protein foods, good fats, and complex carbohydrates, metabolism is balanced and these problems are reversed. If not reversed by dietary improvements, cells become resistant to insulin. Moisture and sugar are not drawn into the cell like they should be, leading to increasing blood sugar levels. When this starts to happen, the Chinese formula HYC is very helpful. HYC treats the condition known in traditional Chinese medicine as yin deficiency. Yin is associated with water and sugar, the sweet taste. HYC nourishes the yin, helping the body absorb and utilize water and nourishment. It is indicated where there is dryness and excessive thirst. There are a bunch of people that are dry They're dried out. They have dry skin. They have dryness in private parts. They have dryness in their eyes. They might have been labeled with a condition. I'm not going to say the name of that condition, but there's a condition out there that's everything's dry. They might have been labeled with that condition, but this would be a thought and way to go. When a person feels thirsty, drinks water, urinates heavily, and then is still thirsty, they might look at this formula: dry eyes, dry skin, dry cough, constipation with dry stool, dry mouth, burning sensation in the palms of the hands or soles of the feet, low-grade fever, and inflammation are all indications for HYC. It may also be helpful with symptoms like sore throats, ringing in the ears, night sweats, hypoglycemia, hypertension, and insomnia. Now, I'm reading it from this. This is listing a lot of diseases, and of course, I do not prescribe or diagnose herbs, and I'm not going to tell you this is the one to use, but if you have a dryness issue, you might want to read up on it. And how you read up on any of these herbs is you go to my website, rhondadial.com, click on product list. When you do, an alphabet will pop up, and go to HYC for this one, and read about it and see if when you're reading about it, it sounds like stuff that you deal with, okay? And then if you want me to test you on it, if you come to the shop, we can do that too. Okay, protection from environmental pollution and chemicals. Another major problem in modern society is many chemicals that have been polluted. You know, our water's polluted, our air's polluted, our food's polluted, homes and workplaces. The liver is the organ charged with detoxifying these chemicals. It is often overburdened and overtaxed because it's heavy workload and lack of adequate nutrition. Symptoms of moderate liver dysfunction are hard to pin down because they are often vague and changeable. But it can include indigestion, constipation, irritability, difficulty falling asleep, morning sluggishness, skin problems, PMS, headaches, and just a general yucky feeling. I was talking to a family member just this weekend, and he could not pinpoint why he didn't feel good. His wife told me he's just angry at the world. But when I spoke to him about it to try to figure out what was going on, he used that word. I just feel yuck. When you can't pinpoint it exactly, but you're mad. See, that anger is a key. Anger goes with the liver. Okay, always put those two things together. In TCM, the liver is considered the harmonizer of the body organs. And this state of liver congestion is a sign of the need to improve harmony in the body. Chinese liver balance is the formula, that's the name of it, that does this. Its Chinese name, Tao He, literally means mediate harmony. It relieves the constriction in the liver energy, promotes the flow of bile, and helps the body detoxify through the bowels and the kidneys. It's very high percentage of Americans could benefit from using Chinese liver balance, or we have another product called Tao He Cleanse. And some people can just use the Tao He Cleanse like once a year or twice a year or something like that, just to kind of detoxify and cleanse the liver. And how you spell the Tao He Cleanse is T-I-A-O, another word H-E, another word cleanse. Okay, rebuilding the immune system. The chemicals mentioned above and the general poor diet of most Americans often lead to deficiency of the immune system. The body gets tired, worn down, resulting in shortness of breath, frequent colds and infections, and chronic poor health. Trigger Immune, that's the name of the product, is a TCM formula that helps to rebuild the blood and energy of a person so that they have greater stamina, more resistance to stress, and better immune function. It contains many of the major adaptogens and tonic herbs in TCMs like astragalus and Gatoderma, Siberian ginseng, Dong Quai, Schisandra, and licorice. So those are all falling into the adaptogens. Remember, the adaption herbs are going to help to bring balance. Trigger immune adaptogens reduce stress levels, enhance mood, aid in maintaining normal weight, increase energy and immunity. It's a tonic for the blood, meaning it helps overcome anemia and improve blood quality. It strengthens the muscles, improves memory and concentration, aids respiration and shortness of breath, helps the immune system. It is a great remedy to rebuild the body after surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. Elderly people who are pale, thin, weak, and cold would also benefit from that. We've all known people like that, right? They're trying to get it back going again. So there's some other traditional Chinese formulas, and we're going to flip over to the back and talk about a few of those. For women who lose blood each month in their menstrual cycle, they might look at Chinese blood stimulator. That's the name of the product. It can help to overcome anemia, weakness, and PMS issues. It's also a great formula for circulation, alcoholism, cirrhosis of the liver, postpartum depression, and loss of appetite. Another formula that I use a lot with folks is called KBC. This formula strengthens the kidneys, which in turn removes uric acid, waste from the bloodstream to reduce inflammation of the joints. If you all know of a condition, can you think of something that brings to mind that starts with a G? It is wonderful formula for low backache, sciatic nerve, arthritis, osteoporosis, weakness in the legs or feet, spinal misalignment. Many people call KBC the herbal chiropractor. That's a formula Dr. Dragon might add with some of his clients. Chinese anti-gas can be used for indigestion, nausea, bloating, diarrhea, sugar cravings, and food allergies. It can also be used in motion sickness and morning sickness. If you suffer from frequent indigestion, heartburn, gas, bloating, try this formula instead of antacids or other drugs. For people with weakness in the lungs, lung support may be helpful. It is good for dry coughs, irritation of the lung, frequent lung infection, wheezing, chronic lung disease, COPD, emphysema, things like that. This is a great formula to ward off sickness in the winter, especially if you live in cold, dry environment and have weak respiratory system. Now, you want to pay attention to what they just said. Cold, dry environment. Is that us?
No.
No, we live in Alabama. So I'll have less people test for lung support here, but in other parts of the country, they use that more, okay? It doesn't mean you wouldn't use it here, but less likely, okay? Especially not in the summertime when we're drowning in humidity, okay? When people's digestive power are weak, they may be unable to build muscle mass. The Chinese call this inability to assimilate protein and create healthy tissue spleen qi deficiency. So spleen activator, that's the name of the product, strengthens the spleen qi to improve appetite, digestion, especially in the weak and elderly. Now, Chinese spleen activator I have also used with people because we are fixing to go into the fall, and a lot of people in the spring and the fall have trouble with allergies. So it's something else you might look at there, especially if you've tried a lot of other herbs and you're not getting success. So y'all read on these more because they do a lot more than what we've said tonight. Read about them on my website. Go to rhondadial.com. Click on product list, alphabetically read about these. There's more information on here we did not go over. Y'all check that out. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
The spleen activator, if somebody doesn't have a spleen, would they take that? Or?
Typically not, but I have had a few people to check for it because it's not just directly. That's the thing about these Chinese herbs. They're not direct dating. They're bringing balance.
Ah, okay.
Yep. Okay, anybody else?
Now that COPD, is that where the elephant fathers follow?
Yes. No, that commercial's done real good, haven't they? Yes, yes, yes. Anybody else? All right, we're going to sign off of the YouTube. I appreciate everybody watching. If y'all need any assistance, just give me a call. My phone number, by the way, is 205-733-7000. Y'all have a blessed night.